Core Studios is 10 years old. We started off in this space back in 2004. And prior to that, I had worked at Townhouse Studios and Westside Studios up the road. The studio was a complete purpose build. Originally, this was just an empty warehouse space, and the plan in cooking up the space was to really focus on tracking. So we wanted a big live area with a couple of booths, plenty of ceiling height, lots of natural light, all that kind of thing. We've always had an analog console. I think if you're a commercial tracking studio, there's, even with everything being so in the box these days, if you're a commercial tracking space, the desk is always going to be the kind of beating heart of the room, and it's always the first thing that people are going to look at when they're looking to book you. So a big analog centerpiece console has always been the thing here. So last year we were coming up to our 10-year anniversary, and we wanted to give the space a kind of refresher and do something really bold, something really exciting, kind of give the place a fresh lease of life. And this lovely API desk was top of the list, and we couldn't be happier with it. So we had experience with API equipment already. We had a few of their mic pre's and their 2500 compressor. And it was just always popular. People always wanted to use the mic pre's, as well as, we've got Neve bits and Chandler bits, but the API stuff across the board was always used because, it's got amazing headroom, it's very quiet, it's very reliable, and it's really punchy, especially for drums and percussive stuff. And a lot of the work that we do here is drum sessions. So we were kind of familiar with the sound. So, to now be able to have a desk that's just full of 32 API mic amps is just it's just like a dream for tracking sessions, because there's a difference between everything going through that and just a few bits going through that. So the configuration that we opted for is a 32 channel 1608, and what you start off with is the 16 channel bass module, and then you have this 16 channel expander. Our plan is really to kind of build up the 500 series stuff in the desk. So the reason that we chose a 1608 over and above obviously the great sound was API is a very well known and respected brand, and we really felt that we wanted to kind of anchor Core as a destination type studio, because with the kind of budget issues in recording and so forth these days, I think there's quite a lot of price matching that goes on. People will have a list of studios that they'll ring, and a lot of the time they're looking more for the kind of bottom line price than the studio itself, which we kind of feel is a real shame. So what we wanted to be able to do is kind of step out of that world and say, look, we have an API console. This is a very specific sound. It's a very specific thing. You're going to come here for that. It's not about necessarily who else you're talking to. It's like, we've got to go there because they've got an API and we want that sound. Straight away when you're kind of tracking it, just the desk kind of glues everything together so well, and there's so much kind of headroom and top and bottom, it's all there. And you can just hear that, and the punch, the transients, everything is just kind of right there straight away. And that's great because it kind of, it makes everyone kind of really enthusiastic and excited straight away. Everyone's kind of feeling it, and the desk is such a big part of the process. We just finished a 2-week residency with Converse, who do this thing called Rubber Tracks sessions, and they have their own studio over in Brooklyn, which I believe has one of these. So they knew this desk, so they booked us specifically for that, and that was great because it was 14 days, 14 different artists, new band each day, lots of different stuff, rock, hip hop, indie bands, and so we were throwing everything at the desk, and everything was just going really well with that. And then also we were booked by the guys at UAD and Softtube, and they were working with a very old friend and great client at the studio called Tony Platt. who's very well known for having worked with bands like AC/DC, and they were doing a Marshall Plexi emulation plugin, and they chose Chord to do that. I think primarily, you know, for the sound of the desk, you know, the mic amps and so forth. So that's very exciting for us because, you know, the sound of this board is, you know, in those, you know, in that emulation now, and you know, so we were really excited to work on that. So if I was going to sum up API gear, I would say very easy to use, amazing sound, very reliable, and just gets you kind of where you want to go very quickly, and there's always a great result at the end.